proves. You know, that uppercut that you saw last week with Pulev is around the same uppercut I hit him with in 2010. He knows what's coming. He knows I'm versatile. He knows I can box. He knows I can fight. And he knows I'm a fighting man. He's a fighting man himself, so he knows all about people like me as well. So that's what makes this fight so major and so big, because none of us are going to go down easily, and both of us just want to challenge ourselves against the best. And he came in here years ago. I was a complete novice. I got in the ring then, sparred him, gave him a good run for his money, and I'll do it now, no problem. And we're both getting paid as well, so it's even better.
Anthony Joshua is sounding very positive about a matchup with Tyson Fury in 2021. Mike Costello is still with us. How far is there to go? Can people start getting excited about this, Mike?
Well, it's hard not to get giddy, Kelly, isn't it, when you listen to Anthony Joshua talking there. And Tyson Fury's been making similar noises. I know Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter here in the UK, said back in June that the two men had agreed to a 50-50 split of all the revenues, and Joshua's just reiterated that there. Eddie Hearn's been talking to Bob Arum, who's Tyson Fury's promoter in the United States. Arum is eager to get the fight done, has described it as the biggest for 50 years. So, look, the best we can say at the moment is that there's been no sign of late that the fight won't be happening.
He did talk about the purse for that fight, but he also started off by talking about this donation that he's making to amateur gyms. You've been around amateur boxing gyms a lot. How much difference could his donation make?
Well, I know how hard it is for clubs to survive, let alone prosper, but I was never involved at a time like this. In my time, we would rely on income from shows or tournaments that we staged to fund the club, but those shows can't happen at the moment. Some clubs rely on benefactors. Finchley, for example, are fortunate to have Joshua behind them, but many clubs don't have such help. Clubs also rely on youngsters paying their subs every night, and sometimes as a coach you dare not ask some of the kids because you know they can't afford it. And in the case of my old club, the heating and lighting bills, as simple as that, have been a real challenge in recent years. So just sustaining a club is the priority at the moment, and here's hoping that the government funding can help to ease the burden for at least some of the clubs in the near future.
Yeah, and he spoke so well on how that money is spent and the differences that could potentially make. So if we were tempted by that 6 or 7 minutes and we'd like a little bit more, Mike, where can we hear it?
Yeah, the full interview with Joshua, as you heard, in relaxed form, back where it all began for him a dozen years ago, is on the 5 Live Boxing with Costello and Bunce podcast. I've also spoken in the past couple of hours to the great Oscar De La Hoya about a range of subjects, including Joshua against Fury. That's also in the latest podcast that we recorded today. Earlier this week, we went back over our highlights of 2020 with the world featherweight champion Josh Warrington. So catch all of those editions on BBC Sounds 5 Live Boxing with Costello and Bunce.
Beautifully done, Mike. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, just 10 minutes to go until kick-off in our 8 o'clock commentary. It's the second quarter-final of the League Cup, an important night for Arsenal. They're at home to Manchester City. Defeat at Everton at the weekend was Arsenal's 8th in 14 games this season. They're in 15th in the league and only 4 points above the relegation zone. Chelsea are up next at the weekend. It's their worst start to a league season in 46 years. So for manager Mikel Arteta, in the Cup, he wants to see commitment from his side tonight.
I like to look around me, whether it's a staff, coach, players, and I want to see fighters. Normally when that happens, you have two types of people, fighters and victims. You just need fighters. You don't want any victims. Victims bring excuses, bring negativity, and they start to blame anything that is happening around them or that is not going for them. But what you need is just people who fight, people who contribute, and people are ready to give everything to the cause in these moments.
Do you have enough of those fighters in this team, do you think?
Yes, I do. But some of them can doubt in any moment, because when you find yourself in this situation, you are tempted to go to the other side and start to say, we're scoring on goals and we cannot play with 10 men and then we don't have the crowd and then the referee made this decision. And I'm sorry, but we don't need any of those. I think there are people that are very contagious and can transmit a certain level of energy. And when you have a lot of them, it's very easy. You always have some in one side, some in the middle and some completely on board. And then you have to drag as many people as you want into your side, to the fighting side, and the ones that they are not interested or they cannot do it, they have to stay behind.
John Murray and Rob Green are at the Emirates for us. Rob, really interesting to hear Mikel Arteta talking about the fighters in his team, but almost suggesting that the energy in the squad was being sort of cancelled out by some of the more negative players in that squad. Can you see that on the pitch?
Yeah, and it's a big squad as well, Kelly. That's a difficult part that Mikel Arteta's got. He's inheriting a squad that has got 2 or 3 or 4 different regimes players, and they're players that aren't his players. We've seen players like quite famous players, individuals, popular players within the group getting told to move on, and they haven't. And there have been in dressing rooms like that where you need more people who are energy, not sappers. You've got the sappers, you need the generators, the radiators, you need those guys. You want to drag people along with you. You need everybody on board. You're not going to get them all. Everyone's got their own agendas. What's hard is when it's a big squad like Arsenal have, and you've got everyone with their own agendas. It's so hard to keep people on board, and I think that's the battle he's facing right now.
Their team selection is really interesting, and the reaction that it's provoked is quite interesting as well. John says, happy to see Martinelli back in the starting lineup. He's back at a perfect time when the club lacks creativity. He can lift the squad just like a new signing. Football's more fun when everyone is fit and competing. Tim, though, says Arsenal playing their B team. Can they really afford to get knocked out? I think there's a couple of points there, and they're not necessarily quite the same thing, Rob, which is that Arsenal have picked pretty much a second string, but was this an opportunity to play the young players who we've seen do well in the Europa League?
Yeah, it's a Europa League squad-ish, isn't it? A team-ish, and you're looking at this and you're saying, look, I think as fans, as Arsenal fans, they'll forgive poor performances one or 2 times in a season from players. They'll forgive mistakes on the pitch as long as they see the players giving it all. And with these youngsters, you see that. You don't see another agenda. You don't see any politics behind it or anything like that. What you see is honesty and a willingness to do well for the shirt. And look, if he gets that tonight and they get beat, I think they'll be forgiven for picking this team. What he wouldn't have been forgiven for would be picking the same team and going out and getting the same result. So maybe he's cut himself some slack.
He does need some slack at the moment, John, not least because of his comments in the week where he talked about the percentage chances of winning and losing recent games. He said it was a 67% chance of winning against Everton, 9% of losing and then you lose, 3% against Burnley, 7% against Spurs. Those numbers, he might well be right, John, and I don't think anybody's going to go and do a deep delve into the stats and try and work out whether he was or not. But when you sit in an interview and you hear a manager coming out with comments like that, think back to Rafa Benitez when he brought his lists of facts out. There are certain interviews that you remember and you think, this is not going to go well for you.
Yeah, I agree, Kelly. I was thinking exactly the same when I was following it yesterday, and I think possibly in his position, I know it doesn't tie in with the media world that we want, and we want the quotes, don't we? We want as many words from the managers as possible, but I think possibly in his situation, maybe less is more.
I think, Kelly, as well, you look at it, and there's one great stat here, and this skews all the other stats in Premier League football, that the last time they took the lead in a game in the Premier League was against Manchester United at Old Trafford on the 1st of November. So everyone has found out how to play against Arsenal, and they sit deep and they say, right, we'll nick a goal, come and break us down. And they haven't. So they can keep the ball, they can put in 600 passes. Doesn't mean to say they're going to score any goals.
Always so much more to talk about the team that are in what we can kind of exaggeratedly call crisis, as Arsenal may well be. But for Manchester City, they're going for their 4th straight Carabao Cup. It would just be an extraordinary record. And even though they are a changed side, they can bring Gabriel Jesus back in. They've got Aguero on the bench. It's still enough to put fear into that Arsenal lineup.
Yeah, and it is a strong side. It's a strong squad. They can rotate, they can change it, they can do their thing, they can do what they want to do. And you look at this squad and you look at this team that's playing, and it gives him so many options. What they don't have is that striker in form. What they don't have is Aguero on the pitch. They're desperate for that. They're getting in and around the final third. They're getting in those areas. They're missing that clinical edge right now. What they do have is clean sheets. That's where Arsenal's going to find it difficult.
Yeah, they are very difficult to get past Manchester City. And, of course, it is Pep Guardiola against his former assistant manager, Mikel Arteta, whose Arsenal side have been struggling in the league this season. Can they get some respite in the Carabao Cup? It's Arsenal against Manchester City. You can listen to our commentary alongside the final score graphics and the video printer this evening if you press the red button or go to BBC iPlayer or the BBC Sport app. You can just click on 5 Live final score and you will get everything that you need. It'll keep you up to date with that, and there's a couple of games taking place in the EFL as well. So, to take you through events at the Emirates, Rob Green and John Murray.
And just as you said that, Kelly, Mikel Arteta was turning to his right and walking across to the seat that just over a year ago he would have been occupying alongside Pep Guardiola. Guardiola was leaning over, looked up, big smiles between the two of them. Arteta saw Aguero as well with his big blue coat on and gave him a little shake on each side of his cheeks as well. Lovely little word between those two, and off they go back to their respective positions and get ready for this latest cup meeting between Arsenal and Manchester City. So tonight we're bringing you from West London, the Brentford Community Stadium, for the second of these Carabao Cup quarter-finals here in North London at the Emirates Stadium, which looms large in between all the new flats close to Holloway Road underground station. It is a grim night. It's a wet night. It feels like the clouds have descended on the Emirates Stadium, and for Arsenal recently in the Premier League, it feels like the clouds have descended on them too. But this is the Cup. This is a different matter. Arsenal, the FA Cup holders, against Manchester City, who are defending this trophy, attempting to win it for a 4th year in a row. And the teams are out there on the field, sadly, again, of course, here in Tier 4 London, behind closed doors. Manchester City defending the end to our right. Arsenal with the red shirts, with the white sleeves, white shorts and the red socks. And Manchester City tonight in their all-black change kit, which has the pinky, peachy coloured numbers on the backs of the shirts. The referee is Stuart Atwell, and at the moment they're just waiting for the nod from the sidelines, so they're standing out there in the North London drizzle, just allowing it to soak gently into them. And there's the whistle, and the players take a knee. As we know, last week the PFA showing great and strong support that we continue to see the players taking a knee. And then off we go here at the Emirates for the second of the Carabao Cup quarter-finals. Both tomorrow night's matches on 5 Live as well, also staggered kickoffs. But Arsenal against Manchester City here tonight, and Arsenal immediately having kicked off. Manchester City now in possession. Laporte on the ball, he is fit, plays the ball across to Ruben Diaz, who wanders into the Arsenal half. And Rob Green is watching with us, Premier League goalkeeper, England goalkeeper. We were wondering, Rob, whether it might be a case that Arsenal would play with 3 central defenders. And I'm looking over there to see Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing on the left-hand side.
Yeah, it's a very, very flat back 5 right now at the minute.
It is.
Suarez is Cedric has dropped in, and so you've got Cedric on the right and like saying on the left, it's one that's very, very flat. They're sitting deep, they're sitting in a low block and just waiting in their own half, just waiting for the opportunity for when to broach the ball. No real pressure on Man City in their own half.
It's an interesting one though, Maitland-Niles. Remember last season in the FA Cup semi-final when it was Guardiola against Mikel Arteta, Arsenal, even though Manchester City had so much of the game in that match, Aubameyang broke away and scored 2 very good goals, and one of the features of that match was Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing as a left wing back. So he's trying to repeat the trick.
Oh, yeah, it's one trick that he'd love to be able to repeat, isn't it? Because it's going to be a tall order tonight.
Yep, so Arsenal playing with Runarsson in goal, the relatively new Icelandic goalkeeper. The 3 central defenders are Mustafi, Gabriel and Kolasinac. Maitland-Niles left wing back, Cedric Suarez right wing back, El Neni and Ceballos in the middle, Willock, Martinelli and Lacazette, the captain tonight in the continued absence of Aubameyang. And the Manchester City team in a moment, but they're bringing the ball forward with the Gabriel Jesus on the left-hand side, plays it into Foden. Foden just outside the box. Zinchenko arrives on the left-hand side. Zinchenko's cross to the near post, is headed down and in by Gabriel Jesus, who scores in the 6-yard box. and Manchester City have a lead after only 2 minutes here at the Emirates, and they celebrate all together behind Runnisson's goal. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 1.
Oh, it's as simple as you like. And Manchester City are saying they're playing against these wing backs, and it's the full backs that get the ball, and all it takes is Gabriel Jesus to drive inside. He pulls wide, drives inside, creates a space for Zinchenko. He's out on the left. He's got all the time in the world to pick a cross. Jesus has just tracked his run into the penalty area, unmarked, free header. Runnisson decides to come, shouldn't, can't get there. It's a flat cross. As simple as you like from 5 yards out, isn't it?
Oh, Robbie's just stolen in at the near post. And in the end, Arsenal defenders are standing looking at one another. Runnison comes off his line, but Gabriel Jesus was there ahead of him at the near post. Just a little touch. So 1-0 already to Manchester City.
Well, you go back and watch the goal against Everton, the first goal for Everton, and they took the ball from their own penalty area without any challenge whatsoever, no pressure on the ball, and an unfortunate Rob Holding scored in his own net. It's so similar in the fact that Manchester City just played their way up the pitch. No challenge, nothing. We'll let you cross it, and an unmarked Jesus in the box.
That is a severe blow for Mikel Arteta to see his team go behind so early, and particularly when Manchester City, whichever team they've been putting out recently, have been so difficult to score against. Conceded 1 goal in their last 8 matches. And that was in the 1-1 draw at home against West Brom last weekend. And already in front, and here's Gabriel Jesus fit, back in the team, already on the score sheet. Jesus with an elaborate step over, then back to Rodri, who turns it across the penalty area, the ball rattling around on the edge of the box, and El Neni stretches forward and clears it away to the halfway line. Worrying start for Arsenal.
Gabriel Jesus looks full of beans, doesn't he? He looks like that goal has done him the world of good. And what was interesting was the criticism of Manchester City recently has been you've been trying to be too perfect, score the perfect goal all the time, and the passes just haven't been there. There, Zinchenko just threw it in the box, just crossed it, and he's there.
And Gabriel Jesus, that was his first goal in 8 appearances. First goal since the 1-1 draw with Liverpool. So he's waited a little time for it. Missed the game at the weekend with a problem with his jaw, but he's okay now. And he is. I mean, this lineup for Manchester City, we've not run through it yet. Stefan, the American international, is in goal again. Diaz and Laporte are the central defenders. Cancelo on the right, Zinchenko on the left, who assisted the goal. But then Fernandinho and Rodri, and then the front four, very fluid front four of Jesus, Foden, Bernardo Silva and Riyad Mahrez, as Manchester City, this latest attack, breaks down, and Arsenal bring it forward on the right-hand side. Willock turns it infield to Lacazette. Lacazette now out to the left-hand side. Arsenal are just desperate to get some kind of foothold in this match. And here they are centrally, but the ball is played straight into Rodri, and now it is Manchester City who bring it away. Mahrez has a look over his shoulder. Maitland-Niles trying to catch him. It was Maitland-Niles who gave it away there. Rodri out to the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva into the penalty area. Bernardo Silva then lays it back with that excellent left foot of his. Now more centrally, Fernandinho is going to have a goal from distance, but via a deflection which carried it further wide of the left post as Fernandinho looked at it. It's a corner to Manchester City.
That's a great description from you, John. That it's a very fluid front four, and 2 of the 4 in Jesus and Mahrez are just pulling so wide. They're going where the wing backs would be, and it's creating so much space for them, and Jesus has already benefited from that.
Yeah, a phrase I used, Rob, because I wasn't entirely sure who was playing where.
Well, that's the secret of it, I think.
I've looked at them 2 or 3 times, and every time I've looked at them, there's been someone in a different position, but that is Manchester City, isn't it?
Well, you try marking them.
Yeah. And City it is with the ball inside their own half. They love this competition, and why not, with the success that they've had in recent seasons. Won it 5 times in the last 7 seasons. I mean, they've taken temporary charge of this trophy, and only the 8 times record winners Liverpool have lifted this famous 3-handled trophy more times. And indeed, if they win it this season, Manchester City will also have won it 8 times during the course of their history. But under Guardiola, 3 in a row. And in actual fact, in 22 matches under Guardiola in this competition, they've won 20 of them. There's a foul in the centre circle on Bernardo Silva by Gabriel, and it's a free kick to Manchester City. Latest score in League Two is Grimsby Town 1, Bradford City 2. Clifton got one back for Grimsby. So Grimsby 1, Bradford City 2. And earlier, if you missed it, and or perhaps were even caught out by the early kickoff in the first of the quarterfinals, great result for Brentford, terrible result for Newcastle. Brentford 1-0 winners. And Newcastle will hear from Steve Bruce, who will, I'm sure, Rob, be under some fire from Newcastle United's supporters after that result. We were both there on Saturday night, and they did not play well in getting a point against Fulham. They've obviously got a whole heap of problems at the moment.
Yeah, he's just about managing, isn't he? In a literal sense, he's just about managing to put a team out. And at the moment, you look at the style of play, and it's all well and good, when it gets you results to play, let's not say a negative brand of football, but a non-creative style of football. When it doesn't, you're bound to come into criticism.
Yep, so much more on that later. You'll hear further reaction, I'm sure, on the Football Daily podcast as well, when we'll have reaction to all of tonight's matches. And Manchester City at the moment in good heart here in North London, leading by 1-0. Gabriel Jesus with that near post header, scoring for the 4th time in all competitions this season. Zinchenko allows it to run for Gabriel Jesus, who's playing mainly on the left-hand side. But as I say that, he now sprints through the middle. Manchester City still with the ball near the halfway line. Cancelo, and then Fernandinho plays it forward, and then Rodri. Big Rodri turns to his right-hand side, number 16 on his back, and then gives it back into the centre circle. Manchester City have got the lead. They're dominating the match. They're dominating possession. And Mikel Arteta looks a little beleaguered there on the edge of the coaching area. Mikel Arteta, a great run in the domestic cup competitions, yet to lose a match as the Arsenal manager in domestic cups. 8 matches played, and they've got through and won all of them. Here is Foden. Foden curling the ball in. It's headed away on the edge of the box by Gabriel, and then it's driven back towards Laporte. John Stones among the substitutes tonight. Manchester City, whose next opponents on Boxing Day are Newcastle. That, I'm sure, is where Steve Bruce and Newcastle do not want to be going next. Ball swung out towards the right-hand side, but not kept in over there by Bernardo Silva, and it's a throw-in to Arsenal, halfway inside his own half.
Manchester City are playing keep ball. They're playing keep ball in the Arsenal half. And Arsenal's tactic tends to be, you're looking at it, put 10 men behind the ball, but don't put any pressure on the ball. So they've just got all the time in the world to pick their passes. And if there's one team that you don't want to build confidence in their passing ability, it's Manchester City.
Arsenal tonight playing the ball back to Runnison, who very nearly got himself into difficulties there against Gabriel Jesus. He turned it back onto his left foot. Gabriel Jesus was all over him, got a little touch on the ball, but fortunately for Arsenal's Icelandic goalkeeper, it bounced back to him.
His heart will have been in his mouth there. He's opened the ball out onto his right foot to clear it, and Jesus is on him quicker than he expected, and it's a last-second decision from a goalkeeper that you decide to do that. And I tell you what, it's a last-ditch decision as well, because he's getting the block on. Jesus put his hands on his head. That was an opportunity.
Yeah, this is the Icelandic goalkeeper, Alex Runnison, as he likes to be known, as Fernandinho plays the ball over the top to Jesus, who did have a defender with him. Cedric Suarez went with him, and as they both sprinted forwards, it had dropped over their shoulders. Jesus' touch just took the ball through to Runnison, the goalkeeper. But here come Manchester City again. This is an ominous start for Arsenal here. If Manchester City are able to get a second goal in these opening stages, you have to say, Rob, this would be very difficult for Arsenal to come back from.
It'll be a long old evening, I'm sure. And Runnison got away with another one there, because Jesus, it was a mistouch from him. It wasn't a great touch. He had the opportunity to knock it around him, and he would have had an open goal.
Yes, Alex Runnison, 25 years old, was signed at the end of the recent window, the start of this season, from Dijon, where he'd spent a couple of seasons in France, has been playing in the Europa League, and this is his 5th appearance for the Arsenal first team. He's glowing brilliantly in this North London gloom in orange to our left, but he's already been beaten once by Gabriel Jesus as El Neni. No Xhaka tonight, he's suspended still. Partey still not fit. That's a blow. Big money signing, expected, an important part of what Arteta wanted to do.
Yeah, they rushed him back. And that's the fear with Martinelli as well, getting them back quicker. I know sometimes your form dictates that,
Here's one for Willock to chase down the right-hand side for Arsenal, but Laporte got there first, and as it bounced towards the dead ball line, tried to steer it out on the volley and on the slide for a throw-in, but I don't think he was successful. I think it's a corner to Arsenal from the right. So this is BBC Radio 5 Live, after we brought you Brentford 1, Newcastle 0 earlier. Here it is the away team who are leading by 1-0. And a throw-in to Arsenal. Dani Ceballos, a corner to Arsenal. Dani Ceballos is going to take it. He marches towards the corner flag, receives the bouncing ball back from somebody down there in the front row, and prepares to take this now. The set piece for Arsenal to the near post. Lacazette was there, but heads it up and well wide of the near post. Fernandinho went with his opposing captain, but it didn't threaten Stefan's goal.
It wasn't a great corner, and it's only the run from Lacazette that runs beyond the near post, beyond Fernandinho. And this is the problem with zonal marking. If you kick it where none of your players are in that zone, then you've got no one to defend that ball, and it's always going to be a tough chance for Lacazette.
That's Rob Green with us here on BBC 5 Live. We're almost up towards the 15-minute mark, and Manchester City 1-0 in front. Foden deep inside his own territory, gives it to Rodri, who shuffles away from Martinelli and gives the ball out towards the far side, where Bernardo Silva is bringing it forward. Now he's got support on the right hand side, and the ball slipped into the area. Bernardo Silva on the stretch, trying to pull it back really from the angle. Got a touch on it, but it rolled straight through for a goal kick.
That's so disheartening for Arsenal. Manchester City had a goal kick, played it short. They decided to press, and 4 passes later, they're in the Arsenal penalty area. It's tough.
And the clearance there from Ceballos was very nearly charged down by Jesus. Well, it was charged down by him, but it bounced away through to goalkeeper Runarsson. Again, they're just about hanging on in this match here, Arsenal.
Yeah, it's a real contrast in convictions in the way they're playing at the moment.
Yeah, it really is, actually, when you see them, the body language and just the demeanour of the two teams. Possession at the moment, Arsenal 21%, Manchester City 79 to 21.
I'm not sure what stats that'll come up for Mikel Arteta and his win ratio.
Now. Don't kick a man when he's down. Well, he's standing there on the edge of the coaching area. Arsenal have got a free kick, a challenge on Gabriel, and Jesus is standing over his fellow Brazilian, just jumped into him, and Gabriel has ended up on the ground, but he's okay, he's back on his feet.
Yeah, just got that wrong, Jesus, didn't he? He just managed to, in his eagerness, get across him and just clatter him a bit too hard.
So Arsenal playing the ball out from the back. As I remember, they did so effectively in the FA Cup semi-final over at Wembley last season. They had a number of hearts in mouths moments there, but it all worked for them in the end. And certainly one of the goals that they scored was quite breathtaking, the way, if you remember, Rob, the way they played it out from the back, and it ended up in Aubameyang scoring at the other end.
Can't see that one happening right now here.
Different man. That Arsenal team were full of confidence, really. Those were the good early months. These are the difficult winter months for Mikel Arteta, with Arsenal in possession inside their own half, but Willock turns and Manchester City have got it back inside their own half. As I say, unbeaten in 8 domestic cup matches under Arteta, FA Cup winners, Community Shield winners, won all 6 matches in the Europa League group stage, which is a feat, certainly, but I'm afraid 5 defeats in their last 7 Premier League matches, and a run like that, which has left them really just above the relegation zone. That is why we're talking crisis. Ball in for Manchester City from the right hand side. Foden did well actually to hook it goalwards as he twisted on the edge of the area with his back to goal, but it was an easy catch for Runarsson.
Yeah, I'm not sure he knew what he was trying to do there. He was just trying to make contact on the ball, get it to deviate it somewhere else. But Manchester City not afraid to throw it in. That's the difference, I think. Normally they're trying to pass their way through. There, just threw it in the box again.
You see, just here, Rob, while we were watching Arsenal take that played out from the back with Runarsson, Jesus on the left-hand side, Foden and Mahrez, the two furthest forward through the middle, and Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, this is the difficulty of playing against a Pep team that, sometimes these things don't work, but you never know what you're really going to come up against. You're always trying something different, but in his brain's working all the time, and that can change during the game at any moment.
Sergio Aguero is among the substitutes tonight. There's no Kevin De Bruyne, no Nathan Ake either, incidentally, not involved. Benjamin Mendy also not involved, not on the bench tonight. But as Kelly Cates mentioned, that is quite a lineup on the substitutes bench for Manchester City this evening. As Arsenal Ceballos overhits the path, that's way above Kolasinac on the far side and out of play for a throw into Manchester City. Yes, this lineup of substitutes that Manchester City have got, as the ball's played back to Stefan, who had to be quick there, but he played it out to Laporte. But it's been given away by Laporte. Arsenal with Ceballos on the edge of the penalty area. Lacazette looking to turn, deflected across the box, but Zinchenko in there ahead of Willock and is able to get a foot to it, and it's cleared away by Stefan to the halfway line. Yes, the Manchester City substitutes lineup tonight: Kyle Walker, John Stones, Raheem Sterling, Ilkay Gundogan, Sergio Aguero, Ferran Torres and Ederson. That is formidable strength in depth.
You're looking to keep them quiet for an hour, and then they bring on the subs. That's the difficulty.
Yeah, and the reason, Rob, that Manchester City have been so successful in this competition is because Pep Guardiola invariably plays a strong team, particularly when you get to the latter stages of this competition. As City take a throw. Here's Fernandinho just outside the box. Bright orange boots contrasting with his black outfit. Turns, but Manchester City lose possession. And Kolasinac now, as it's played back across to El Neni. And then more centrally to Ceballos, who's in danger of being dispossessed. Lacazette's back in there, and he's just been caught by Rodri. So it's a free kick to Arsenal, which they take quickly. Any more reason for some sort of hope, optimism for Arsenal at the moment, Rob?
I was just going to come up with a negative one, I'm afraid. I think they've just had their best spell, and the difficulty is that when they do press, and they pressed well there, and they got Stefan into making a mistake, and Laporte also poor clearance, but
here's Maitland-Niles crossing from the left-hand side for Arsenal, but Stefan was quickly out of his 6-yard box and was able to clutch the ball. It was Cedric Suarez who was in there for Arsenal, but Zinchenko was in there too.
Well, this is part of the point, that they've got to commit so many people in the press that they're leaving themselves 2v2 at the back, and that's a really dangerous game.
Not really seen Martinelli get involved in the game at all, and you were absolutely correct, incidentally. Spotted it before the game. Martinelli out towards the left-hand side, and Willock over here towards the right, either side of Lacazette.
That's my one for the season.
And Arsenal have it with Gabriel at the back. Here's Mustafi. Mustafi swings it high through the middle, looking for Martinelli, but it lands instead on the head of Cancelo, and Manchester City have got it back. I know there's a little bit of talk in Mikel Arteta tonight, choosing as his 3 central defenders Mustafi, Gabriel and Kolasinac. A little bit of talk from Arsenal supporters doing the rounds tonight about their young defender William Saliba, who's not been involved at all, or he's not played at all this season. He's been on the bench a couple of times. Question being, why not give him an opportunity?
It sounds like, and I was listening to a podcast on the way down, sounds like he's one of those faces that doesn't fit.
Here's Bernardo Silva into the penalty area. Cancelo turns back onto his right foot, crosses it towards Mahrez. His shot is blocked onto a defender, Gabriel, and the ball spins away behind for another corner to Manchester City.
Yeah, it's a good keep ball again. Just picked their moment to break and went for it, and got to that area that they love to get into. Got into Mahrez, looking for that shot. He's just that Arsenal managed to get the numbers back in time.
Yep, El Neni it was who actually blocked it. Say another corner. It's their first corner. Arsenal, Manchester City, over on that far side, in front of all of the various canvases that cover the seats. A big Black Lives Matter canvas right on the other side of the corner flag from where we are. So here's the delivery. It's a high one, this one, looking for Laporte, who heads it down, and it bounces wide of Runnerson's right post.
There's a chance, real chance, and it hung in the air long enough, and he had enough time to see it. There's bodies around him, but he's just managing to buffer them out the way and got his header down. He puts his head into his hands, and you realise that actually that's a really good opportunity.
Yeah, and he's a player, Laporte, with a little bit of ground to make up at the moment, with with Diaz and Stones appearing to be the current first choice pairing.
I was going to say he's certainly not part of the first choice pairing at the moment. Just watching Runnison in goal, and I know Leno, and they look to play out from the back with Leno. If you're a goalkeeper that isn't as comfortable on the ball as, say, a Leno, it's a really difficult proposition to play through this Manchester City press, and he's certainly looking a little bit panicked right now.
Have you seen enough of Runnison yet to come back to that? Because Jesus turns nicely, sets off towards the penalty area, and then El Neni slides in, takes him down 4 or 5 yards outside the box, and is booked for the challenge, the Egyptian midfielder.
It's an easy decision, wasn't it, for Stuart Atwell? Jesus, who's dropped into this left-hand side again. He's just picked up the ball. He's driving in on the angle into the edge of the box. He's about to pull the trigger, and El Neni's having none of it. Knew exactly what he was doing. Got enough of him to bring him down.
So who is going to have a look at this with the greatest liking? I think Mahrez is the one who looks... Cancelo just comes up as well. If Kevin De Bruyne was on the pitch, he'd be a man. But it is left of centre here, so it's actually almost at the point where the left side of the D meets the edge of the penalty area. So 5 Manchester City players were all together there, and they all peel away almost as if in formation. Cancelo standing to the left of the ball, Mahrez to the right. Cancelo, little false start, and then Mahrez with the left foot hits it into the side of the Arsenal wall, the left side of the wall, as he was looking at it, and the ball bounces away for a Manchester City corner.
Yeah, it wasn't a great free kick. Well, did its job. He's looking at it, and Runnison's actually put enough players outside the wall, outside the post, for it to make a difference, and he blocks it.
Corner then. Bernardo Silva comes trotting across, all loose limbs. Foden takes it towards the far post, but that's headed away for Arsenal, out towards the far side by Kolasinac. Manchester City take up possession again on the far side. Mahrez it is, driving towards the corner flag, and he wins a throw-in off Kolasinac, who was the player who headed the ball away, but he was also the one who went out to challenge Mahrez. Throw-in is taken, then it's lifted forward towards the edge of the box. Arsenal allow it to bounce, and Mustafi with his right foot steers it out towards the right-hand side, where Cedric Suarez hits it downfield for Lacazette, but he's beaten in the air by Diaz, and Manchester City have possession back inside their half. So this is BBC Radio 5 live from the Emirates Stadium, watching Mustafi almost pull the shirt off the back of Gabriel Jesus, and that's going to be a yellow card as well, just forward of the centre circle. Yeah,
that was a brilliant turn from Jesus. He's just got too tight from Mustafi, and it's a ball into his feet, and it's done a little flick turn in his way. Mustafi, just like El Neni, wasn't having any of it. Another booking.
Mustafi looked as though he was apprehending him. Looked as though he planned to take him down to Paddington Green Police Station.
You're Nick,
mate. But it's a free kick, and it was a definite yellow card. So El Neni and Mustafi now in the referee's book, and this looks like, I have to say, the first 25 minutes. At the moment, this match looks like it will be an inevitable victory for Manchester City. However, there's only one goal in it, as the ball is headed on for Manchester City through the middle. There's indecision there. Mustafi came, headed it out, but he's headed it to Bernardo Silva, and then Ceballos in on the challenge. Stuart Atwell has had a good look at that and eventually blown his whistle for a foul on Mahrez by Ceballos, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, middle of the half, out towards the right.
Yeah, Runnison, he came out a long way, and Mustafi decided to head it away from him, out of his hands. It caused panic, and Mahrez, I think Stuart Atwell waves the first challenge away, but then pulls him up for the second one, where I think he stamps on him, not intentionally.
Free kick then, 1-0 Manchester City lead, and the free kick is going to be delivered in beyond the Arsenal defensive line, and a stretch and a touch on that, took a deflection. It was Rodri who got to it for Manchester City, but it's come off an Arsenal foot, according to Stuart Atwell, and it's a corner to Manchester City from the far side.
Yeah, I think it was Willock, and it was an important touch because he broke the line first and therefore had to make it.
So Manchester City with a corner, all the action in the penalty area away to our left, and we've got a stoppage because with all of the pushing and shoving, and jostling for position inside the penalty area. Corner hasn't even been taken, and an Arsenal player,
Ceballos,
is down there on his face with his he's flat on his front with his hands to his face. And we're just seeing, Rob, a little replay of what happened. It was Fernandinho jostling with Ceballos.
He's just trying to gain a yard and just put a hand across his face, didn't he?
Across his throat. Here's the corner, delivered to the back post, and it's headed wide by Diaz, who is in there claiming they got a touch, but referee Atwell says no, goal kick. And we do not have VAR here tonight, so we have to settle for what the referee saw with that little tangle between Fernandinho and Ceballos.
No, I don't think there's a lot to it. He's just put his hand up and just put his hand across his face. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think there's any malice in it, but it doesn't look great.
No. With VAR, what would have happened there? There's a question for you. There's a test of your summarising abilities.
We've got the night off VAR.
Yeah, let's not speculate what they would or would not have done. What's happened in reality is that referee Atwell, whatever he saw, has decided it wasn't serious enough, and it is still 11 against 11. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 1. I suppose if Xhaka for Arsenal the other week, if there wasn't VAR involved, he might have stayed on the field.
Yeah, there's been a few, hasn't there, this season?
Might be a few more as well. So, almost half an hour played, and it is 1-0 to Manchester City. I'm trying to see if that is that right, half an hour played. I've not got much trust in my stopwatch at the moment. I think the battery has faded. Yes, it is almost half an hour, it is right. Yeah, I think the battery's going midwinter, Rob, so I've lost a little bit of belief in my stopwatch at the moment.
I know what to buy you for Christmas.
Not that I was dropping hints. Runnison clears from the back. Manchester City have got to be careful here. Diaz being put under pressure by Martinelli, who still has just not been able to get into the game in the first half hour. And then Lacazette goes thundering to the ground after a challenge from Fernandinho. And the referee is actually going to stop play so he can receive some treatment. I don't think it's a head injury. I think he just landed heavily.
Yeah, it's his back, holding his lower back, and he's just had a bump with Diaz. Diaz is no intention of making any contact, doesn't even know he's there, and he knees him right in the small of the back there, painful, goes down in agony, and it's a horrible one. But when Arsenal, and I know it's not the Arsenal way, when they throw it forward, they're not having any joy playing out from the back. When they throw it forward, at least it asks a different question.
It was Rodri, wasn't it, who put in the challenge, and I think if you were hit by Rodri, you'd know about it. He is very strongly built, and so it is Arsenal 0, Manchester City 1. I think Arsenal really they need to get Martinelli into the game and see what he can do. I suppose he's the player who's unaffected by all of this in terms of at least on the field, having been out all season after being injured pre-season and coming back, got about 20 minutes as a substitute against Everton, and here he is now on the left-hand side receiving the ball from Maitland-Niles. Gets his touch now. Green boots on his feet. Here's the cross from Martinelli, and it's a good one as well, but Stefan was able to get a punch on it, the Manchester City goalkeeper. Back to Martinelli, pulls it back, Willock, then Lacazette with the header, and it's there. And Arsenal have come up with the equaliser. Alexandre Lacazette, created by Martinelli, and it's Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. What about that?
Well, it's two fabulous balls from Martinelli, and it's the first time, as you say, John, he's got in the game. The first ball, Stefan does brilliantly to get across his man, unlike Ronison did in the first goal for Manchester City. And then the second ball, he just takes it, and you think he's touched it too far out of his feet, but he just stands it up at the far post. And Lacazette has got the other side of the defender, got the other side of Zinchenko, and is it Diaz? Yeah, Diaz, Laporte. Yeah, they've got themselves the wrong way round, haven't they? And he's just got a free header in there, and it's a not a simple finish, but a comfortable one, 6 yards out.
Football, eh?
It's the first time they've got inside the penalty area. It's brilliant.
Martinelli, they finally got him on the ball on the left-hand side, and he's produced the goods. Gabriel Martinelli, the 19-year-old who was signed in the summer of last year from the club Ituano in Brazil for just over £5 million, but made a great impact really last season. Scored 10 goals in his first season. I remember well seeing him score a couple of goals in the famous 5-5 at Anfield in this competition last season. And he also, Rob, features in the question and answer section of the programme today, which I always enjoy. I don't know about you.
You'll test me later.
Well, no, not. It's questions of a personal nature as opposed to a general knowledge nature. Not that personal. Here's Rodri, plays it forward through the middle, bounces to Willock, and Arsenal now thinking that they might even get their noses in front before half-time. Who'd have thought? Cedric Suarez playing it down into the full-back position, and then Laporte comes across and is able to pop the ball out of play for a throw into Arsenal. Yes, Gabriel Martinelli reveals in the match programme tonight that his mother rules the roost in the Martinelli household. They're all here, the Martinellis, his mother and his father. He said that it doesn't matter who's involved, his uncles, his granddad, his mother is the one who is the main Martinelli, as it were, as Manchester City clear through Zinchenko towards the halfway line. Cedric Suarez then heads it forward. Here's Willock. Willock angles it back to El Neni. And it's square to Ceballos. Martinelli makes a run to the edge of the box. Here comes the ball to the right-hand side, though, to Cedric Suarez. And Cedric Suarez with a cross. Martinelli's underneath it, but he heads it high. It's actually kept in by Kolasinac. No, it's not. The flag is up from the assistant. Down here on this right-hand side, Stuart Burt with the flag was on the line, and it's a goal kick to Manchester City. But this is much better from Arsenal.
It's a transformation. It's a transformation in energy. It's a transformation in aggressiveness on the ball and off the ball. They're in the Manchester City half, and they're going to press, and they're pressing, and they're playing, and they're taking chances off the ball. And it's from half an hour where they did so little. They're now creating things that they wouldn't even dream of doing 20 minutes ago.
They take Manchester City, the goal kick from the back. Oh, Stefan has given it straight to Willock, who plays it across to Ceballos. Now it's in the box with Lacazette, and the ball deflects up and into the very grateful hands of Zach Stefan.
I have no idea why they play it out there. As a goalkeeper, you get the ball and you've got to see 1, 2, 3 passes into the future. He knew he was getting that ball back to him in a horrible angle with a man pressing him down, and it was a poor kick out.
It was, but Manchester City fire it forward long this time, and João Cancelo is carrying the ball infield from the halfway line. He's halfway inside the Arsenal half. It's Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. If you've just joined us on 5 Live tonight, Brentford are already through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, having won a very tight match 1-0 against Newcastle United in West London earlier this evening. Half-time in League One, it's Doncaster Rovers 0, Shrewsbury Town. I've been out, George, our producer. 0. Doncaster Rovers 0, Shrewsbury 0. George didn't write down the second number, which was quite crucial. Here's Zinchenko carrying the ball in from the left-hand side, gives it back to Rodri. And Rodri's pass is straight onto the chest of Kolasinac. Now Lacazette, Arsenal's goal scorer, his 5th of the season, after he started the season so well, a bit like Arsenal themselves, has dried up rather, but took it well, a header near the edge of the 6-yard box that was well beyond Stefan to the right, as Runarsson plays the ball out from the back. It's kept in. No, it's not kept in on that far side. It's a throw-in to Manchester City. Anyway, going back to Martinelli, Mother Martinelli, she does most of the cooking, Rob. She loves cooking for the Martinellis, but she does have a lady who comes in and helps her. But it is Mother Martinelli who chooses what everyone eats. And he says he's also learning to drive at the moment. And he's got his eye, and it also asks in the programme, as Laporte swings it, left-footed out towards the far side, which is headed down and away by Kolasinac, comes back for Manchester City. And as Pep Guardiola's team play from right to left, Guardiola's taken up a position. He's got that very long very padded black coat on again tonight. Ball played out to Zinchenko. Zinchenko angles it back to Jesus. Gabriel Jesus, who opened the scoring with his near post header. Now Fernandinho's ball over the top, run into the penalty area from Cancelo, but it bounces as he tried to steer it back towards Mahrez. Arsenal were able to take the opportunity to clear. The match much more even now, but we have now just suddenly moved back to how it was before the Arsenal equaliser. Manchester City back with most of the control of the game. 1-1. Laporte curling it in. In fact, he looks like he's gone for goal, but Runarsson was able to step back and catch that quite easily.
Yeah, it's a game now. It feels like there's a game on. It feels like Arsenal are playing with a lot more confidence. You know, with Manchester City still posing the threats. It was a great ball in from Fernandinho and over the top to Cancelo, who just couldn't get that final ball. But at least there's some fight in this game.
So Martinelli's learning to drive.
His mum's not teaching him.
No, well, I don't know. She might be. One of the things in the programme, it says, in a dream world, what would your next new car be? And he says, a Lamborghini.
Wow.
And he's not learned to drive yet. Is that a good first car? Here's Arsenal down the left-hand side with Kolasinac blocked away. And Manchester City can clear away through Cancelo up towards Gabriel Jesus, who looked as though he used his shoulder for that, but that's allowed now. And Manchester City lose possession to Arsenal, who go back to Mustafi on the halfway line. Yes, there's a picture of a big yellow Lamborghini underneath that.
I used to play with Freddie Ljungberg, who had a similar car, but couldn't drive it down North London because of all the road humps.
Because it was too low.
Yeah.
Very good. I'd like to think what the insurance would be for 19-year-old Martinelli driving a first car in a Lamborghini. Probably cost more than the car. Zinchenko heads it on the halfway line. Here's Willock, and then Rodri puts in the challenge. And Diaz has given it away. Arsenal come again. Ceballos now to Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles up to the corner of the penalty area. Cancelo puts in the challenge. Maitland-Niles was past him, but the touch was a little heavy as he took it away from him. Very nicely, it should be said. And he couldn't keep it in, and it's a goal kick.
So much better from Arsenal. Just the pressing off the ball, reading of where the next pass is going to be, and Ceballos is just on it and took it away, and they were away, they were through. And it's just that intensity, rather than sort of drifting back into their own half and being passive. They're just doing something about it when they haven't got the ball, and it's asking Manchester City questions.
Rob Green with us on 5 Live. Talk about a goal changing a game. It's dramatically, it's totally transformed Arsenal's performance.
And in turn has changed City, looking from all controlling to a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, don't worry though. Pep Guardiola's got all of those substitutes on the bench. Here's Fernandinho, might have just been caught. He was sent to ground. Referee Atwell says play on. And it is Manchester City still on the ball with Mahrez. Here's Jesus on the left-hand side. Jesus looks sharp tonight, I must say. Jesus plays it back now to Mahrez. This is quick, and it's slick. And Foden through to Jesus, whose shot was well saved by Runarsson. One-on-one with the goalkeeper, and Runarsson threw his arms up and was able to block the shot from Jesus.
That's a brilliant save. It's a great save. I've been critical of him so far, but that's a fantastic save. Read the opportunity out quick.
Yeah, good save. Manchester City come again though. Ball on the right-hand side with Riyad Mahrez. Tried to give it back to Bernardo Silva. Ceballos intercepted. And here's Martinelli now closer to the halfway line. Martinelli cuts in field. He's on his right foot. Lacazette points for him to give it back into the centre circle, which he duly does. Just as if old Mother Martinelli had told him to do that. Here is Cedric Suarez on the right-hand side. Cedric Suarez's cross bounces right across the penalty area and behind for a goal kick. And it's Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1, with half-time not far away. And the way that the game has developed, the way that it's gone, it's been very interesting, Rob.
Yeah, and it's one where you're looking at Manchester City and they got that threat all the time. And there it was fortunate because Phil Foden took a touch, and it wasn't quite on. It didn't work perfectly, but it managed to roll through to Jesus, and he was in. Runarsson with a fantastic save. He's out early, and he's managed to throw his arms out. As you say, made a big block.
Yeah, such an important save, because if Arsenal had found themselves a goal behind, it's nearly half-time, after the way that they'd been able to claw their way back into the tie. That would have been a severe blow. So all credit to the goalkeeper as the ball's played through again for Manchester City, but he comes sliding out and gathers it at the feet of Mahrez. I did ask you earlier, and we never got a chance to take it on, whether you have seen much of Runarsson or not.
I've seen him play a couple of Europa games, but as with the nature of that group that they were in, was rarely tested. So could play out comfortably, weren't really pressed. So it's a very different proposition tonight.
His father, speaking of members of footballers' families, his father was Runar Kristensen, who was an Icelandic international midfielder, who actually was the first Icelandic player to 100 caps. Here's Foden to Mahrez on the edge of the box. Mahrez in the D, but it works away from him. And El Neni was able to get an important touch in there. And Arsenal now with Lacazette. Ceballos might have been fouled, but Lacazette has taken it away. Here's Willock. Willock then curls it forward for Martinelli. There's no flag yet. Stefan comes out of his goal, and the goalkeeper got there just ahead of Martinelli. Had to as well, otherwise Martinelli would have been in, and he might have caught Martinelli too, who's stayed down. And referee Atwell has stopped play in the centre circle. Actually, I think it was a handball in the centre circle, but Martinelli is clutching his lower right leg as he twists from one side to the other, and this handball is being disputed as well in the centre circle. Fernandinho.
I think they're having issues with the tackle from Stefan as well, but it's a brilliant challenge. He's come a long way, all the way out to the right-hand side of the penalty area, outside the box, and just catches the boot of Martinelli. It's brilliant goalkeeping because he's out, he's decisive, he gets there first, and gets in the ball far enough away and into an area where his teammates can compete to buy him time to get back into his goal.
Rob, that's not a foul, is it? That's just unfortunate.
I mean, for Martinelli. He's through. It's an honest attempt. He can see the goal. He knows if he gets a touch, he's through on goal. Stefan does really well, and that's great goalkeeping.
It was 5 or 6 yards outside the penalty area, maybe a little bit more than that. Martinelli was at full pace there. So was the goalkeeper coming out. He had to go for it on the tackle. The goalkeeper.
Yeah, it looks to be in a lot of pain, but you're seeing the replays. It's just a well-timed tackle. He just had to get there, and he did.
And just a reminder that it was a knee injury that Martinelli had in training in June, but it's a shin he's been caught on.
Lower part of the shin, top of the foot, ankle, but it's a worry for him because he's covered his face up with his shirt, and he's clearly in a lot of pain. And after all that time out and proving what a difference he can make to a side, the just genuineness of his play and his willingness to be proactive and try things is he's the one who's been throwing the punches for Arsenal.
Still receiving treatment. 2 of the Arsenal medical people are there, and he's lying on his back now with his hands up over his face. Alexandre Lacazette, the Arsenal captain, is just coming across to have a word with him as well. He had his shirt pulled up over his face, and Alexandre Lacazette is leaning over him. Fernandinho likewise as well. Fernandinho, Brazilian, asking how his young fellow countryman is, and he's leaning forward now. He's up, sitting up, and we'll see if he's going to be able to continue.
Yeah, just judging by the warming up of the substitutes on the touchline, there's no one really any rigorous warming up or getting undressed, so you'd imagine he'd be all right, but it looked like a really painful one.
Stand by, Newcastle United fans, by the way. We will hear from Steve Bruce at half-time in this match after they were beaten in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Brentford are into the semi-finals. Josh Da Silva scoring the only goal, and I guess we'll hear from Thomas Frank as well. At half-time we will hear from Thomas Frank and Steve Bruce at half-time, and if you miss it, you can hear them in the 5 Live Football Daily podcast, which you can search for on BBC Sounds, and then you can download it and subscribe to it. And Martinelli is back on his feet, and he's walked off the field, and he's limping on the far side. He's asking to come back on, but he's actually leaning forward with his hands on his knees, and then he gets the signal from Stuart Atwell, and here he comes. How easily is he going to be able to move?
I just think they're just getting through to half-time, make a proper assessment then. I think they'll be desperately keen to keep him on the pitch, because that ball over the top is the way to beat this Manchester City defence. They're holding a high line, and he just needs that willing runner to time it well, to get back beyond, and that's what he can do.
Well, Manchester City have conceded a goal tonight. Arsenal have become only the second team in the space of 9 matches to score a goal against them. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. 3 minutes of added time. We're into the 3rd minute. Might be a little bit more than that after the lengthy stoppage for the injury to Martinelli, who's not moving easily. It'll be a surprise if he's able to come out for the second half, but we'll see. They might be able to work wonders. As Manchester City played out from the back, Fernandinho, long, high ball from him that Cedric Suarez is able to get his chest to. And that delicate touch took it down into the full-back position. In fact, it was so delicate he didn't get a touch on it at all, because he allows it to bounce out of play for a goal kick to Arsenal. So 1-1, we've seen 2 goals in the first half. Gabriel Jesus scoring in the 3rd minute. Zinchenko's cross from the left-hand side. Jesus very sharp to get in there at the near post, in amongst the Arsenal defenders who allowed him to get in there unmarked. But Lacazette equalising in the 32nd minute after Martinelli's excellent work on the left-hand side. That also a header from Lacazette to make it 1-1. And that's how we stand. And if you haven't heard so far, there is no extra time up until this round of the competition in the Carabao Cup this season. So if it were to stay this way, it would be straight to a penalty shootout after the 90 minutes. There will be extra time in the semi-finals and the final if necessary. And the other thing is as well, no 2-leg semi-finals this season. When the draw is made tomorrow.